ISTAF Super Series round 1, and we've got the men's Regu final and the top 2 seeded teams. Malaysia taking on Thailand. Thailand, they win just about everything. Here they beat Singapore en route to the final, having won 3 out of 3 in their group. Malaysia, they got the better of the host Myanmar, and it's a young Regu, and they're trying to re-establish a sepak takraw reputation on Malaysia after a pretty dreadful Asian Games in which bronze medals were all that was won. The team's about to get introduced, and then we'll give Drew Lilly a chance to analyse this game. We've got to take this MC around the world with us, I tell you, because he's getting the crowd going. Malaysia and Thailand. Malaysia will be in sky blue. Thailand will be in the all red. And Drew Lilly, let's talk Malaysia. The Asian Games nightmares and the fact that they just can't seem to get the better of Thailand. Do they have a chance this time round?
I'd like to say they do. I certainly hope they do, because they always seem to raise their game in ISTAF competition. The last time they had any success was when they made it to the finals, both the men's and the women's team at the ISTAF Super Series 2013-2014 finals. Pretty poor runs at the King's Cup, at the SEA Games in Incheon, but they always seem to raise their game for ISTAF competition. They've got some youngsters there. They've got Shazreen Kamar, though, the number 4 there, who is probably the best setter and feeder definitely at this tournament, I would say. And then the other players, if they can raise their challenge Thailand.
Wow, big news. Okay, Shahir Rosdi will be the starting Tekong. Shazreen Kamar, big call to call him the best feeder in the competition. He'll be delighted to hear that. And Khairul Zaman, who we've nicknamed Zaman because he's been so lethal at the net. On the bench, should they be required, Mohammad Zamri Dahan as the striker and Sahidan Muhammad Ali, the teenage Tekong. This is their road to the final, and it looks pretty good. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. 2-0, can't do better than that.
Exactly, they played a weakened Korea team. They were better than Japan. It was a derby against Singapore, but particularly against Myanmar in the semis. Didn't leave the hosts a chance. This man here, Shahir Rosdi, against Singapore, served at about a 95% clip. All of his services are dangerous. It's Wedmar will run left and right. He's the midfield general. And then Khairul Zaman really grew into the role, and he's at spikes in the competition to date. Sahidan Ali, if they need him, they'll be hoping they don't have to call on him. They'll be hoping that Shahir Rosdi just keeps firing down the aces left, right and centre. They've also got backup on the bench in Zamri Dahan, the chunkier figure there. They'll also be hoping that they don't need to call on him. It's best of 3. They'll be hoping that they can get through with their top 3 and they won't have to be making many substitutions.
Najib is new to the role as coach. Chalyudin calling it today after the Asian Games, handing it over to new blood, and he's been very energetic, the team manager, gesticulating and really supporting the guys, making sure that the Malaysian team know that they're here to pick up victories. It's a big year for Malaysian sport because the local domestic sepak takraw league, the STL, will be launching later on in November, with events coming up in Terengganu, in Kedah, in Johor, in Malacca, and final is a big year for Malaysia. As for Thailand, well, a lot of new faces for us, and Ratadek not starting. Penny, for your thoughts?
Exactly, I'd have started Ratadek, the big tall lefty who can fire them down. I think he and Sitipong had the record for the fastest ever services in ISTAF competition, 80 kilometers per hour.
4 wins out of 4, you expect nothing less than that, but Myanmar pushed them very close in the group encounter. Quite routine over Singapore in the semi-finals, but this will be the starting Regu, Natapong Kraiwon. He's 22 years of age. He weighs 77 kilos, comes in at 175, and he came in the semi-final. I think it was 4 or 5 errors before he knew what had hit him.
Exactly, he picked it up after that. I'm glad to see Tawisak Tonsai as the starter, because they went with Suryon Kunpimon, who did very well in the semi-finals against Singapore. But I am expecting we will see Ratadek Noijarwen at some point in this match. I don't know if Thailand are going to have to call on him. I would if I were the Thai coach, and the backup striker Suryon Kunpimon, who totally dominated the net against Afisafye of Singapore in the semi-finals yesterday. So it's an embarrassment of riches, as you would expect for Thai coach Napa Tangto, and then the team manager, who is a colonel in the army, Sompon Sanyabut, who is there as well. So they can ease Ratadek to start, but there you go.
But you're not selecting the teams, Drew Lilly. You're just being hypercritical from a place very high up, as is your job. Well done, fella. So, Malaysia, they'll be hoping that this ISTAF Super Series is the prelude to something decent. It's a big sport in Malaysia. It's huge in Thailand. But the Malaysian crowds, as we've seen in previous World Cups, they come out in their thousands with just the sniff of a chance. Remember Kota Kinabalu this time last year. Hey, we'll let the MC give you the official team announcements. This is what it's all about. The men's Regu final is the high point of any ISTAF Super Series event. It's the high point of any international competition. The Thai women have got one victory for the country. Can the men beat that success? Once again, we'll have the teams being introduced to dignitaries from the world of Sepak Takraw, including the Minister of Sport for Myanmar. Confirmation of the officials, Radi Cheme from Singapore and the two line referees. It's an important game, Drew Lilly. And Halim leading the way. He's the one who's led the charge to bring this competition to Myanmar. He's trying to take it around not only the region but around the world as well, trying to make Sepak Takraw a popular sport around the world.
Well, more power to his elbow. It's the kind of sport that outside of its heartlands in Southeast Asia people won't have heard of, but it's once seen, never forgotten, which is why Asia Sports Ventures is a company that's been set sport to the world. So thank you for watching it wherever you are watching it around the world at the moment. Series events. The one time that they didn't make the final was
back in Delhi. Had to settle for 5th. They came back and won the next 2 Super Series events. And this the first one of season 3, but they ended up as champions. It was a very good Korean attempt in that particular tournament, but Thailand can be got at. There's no Pornchai, there's no Patarapong. It's a new batch of players, and there's no Sirapong, who's the outstanding Tekong for Thailand. So they can be got at, or am I just clutching at straws here, Drew?
They can, and the great thing is, the last time that Malaysia or the penultimate time, the last but one time that Malaysia and Thailand played in the final, Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia won the first 2 sets. It was best of 5 in the semi, but it was best of 5, and Malaysia took a 2-love lead. If they take a 2-love lead in sets today, they've won. They have the trophy, they have the gold medal, they have the 200 ranking points. They are top dogs.
I remember that tournament very well. The place was absolutely rocking. Absolutely rocking in KK. We are in Naypyidaw, in the heart of Myanmar. I hope we come back here again. In all sports, the huddle, it seems to be taking on almost a reverential moment. Did you huddle in your day?
No, we didn't huddle. We didn't huddle, unless it was very cold. And I have to say, growing up as a kid in the Midlands of England, playing football or hockey in January or February, there were times when we huddled together for warmth, particularly at half-time if there weren't any changing rooms to sit in. And there's always, so as soon as you hear that the other team has blinked first and gone, okay, right, let's go, you carry on and you huddle for another 30 seconds.
Radiceme is the man with the microphone. He's the referee. He's not the official referee today.
He'll be very quick with his calls as well. As soon as he spots anything, he'll be there shouting it out.
On my right, Malaysia, and on my left, Thailand.
For Malaysia, Shazrin Kamar wears 4. Needs to be dominant in the net. I'm looking forward to that battle at the net between Karol Zaman and Tawisak Tongsai, who'll be his opposite number. Natapong will be the starting Tekong, and Panupong, who, along with Shazrin Kamar, is up there at one of the best in the tournament. Well, which Natapong is going to be with us? The one who fires the bullets or the one who fires into the net?
If it's the one who fires the bullets, he'll be with us. If it's the one who fires blanks, then he's going to be in trouble, and I think...
Good save from Shahir. First block. Panupong to Tongsai. Hey, that's a good start.
It was a cracking point for the first real rally. The ball went across the net a good 6 times. Malaysia keeping it alive, desperation stuff, but that was one cracking spike there, the sunback spike, left-footed there from Tawisak. It almost was, it was mid-court, wasn't it?
Off the top of the tape, 74 kilometers an hour.
Well, he fired a blank on the first one, but that was bullet from a gun. Nothing that his opposite number could do about it there, because it changes trajectory, but the sheer speed as well.
A 1-2-3 for Thailand, gives them a 3-1 lead.
This problem there, Shahir Rosdi, maybe a little bit nervous first up, but he just popped that one over net on service, and that gave Thailand all the time.
Comes in at 1m89. It's a big, tall fella. And so he should be able to fire it in from quite some height, 2 meters plus. Shazrin saves. Wow, but the work from Panupong.
It was amazing to keep that alive Then we see the wonderful set, and the spike is as crisp as you could possibly imagine. Coming down at that perfect 45-degree angle, and then he's going to roll over, land on his foot, spring back up. Seen there in all its ultra motion glory.
Service ace. Point Malaysia.
He needed that, Shahir Rosdi, because his first two services were quite innocuous, and then he fires one right into the corner, and there was a bit of appealing there, but that was bang on the line.
An ace at 68 kilometers per hour. Foot fault from Natapon, and you said the referee had called things early.
And what I was going to say as well is Radicemai is a devil for his foot faults. He is absolutely eagle-eyed when it comes to foot faults. And early on, Natapon was brushing the inside of the line, which you're not allowed to do.
Karol Zaman gets the point. Thailand were claiming it had hit a hand, but Karol Zaman has got Malaysia.
And shouting, no, that just rolled up the body. Wasn't an extra touch either. Perfect spike. Rattles into the logos on the tape there. Goes underneath the attempted block from Thong Sai.
What logos are those, Drew?
Marathon.
Come on, Karol Zaman angled it away from Thong Sai.
Malaysia were 4-1 down, and they're almost looking dead and buried, even though it's far too early to say that. They were looking very dispirited, and then all of a sudden...
Well, the service ace, the service fault.
Different complexion on this match. Big set of three coming up here for the tall fella, Shahir Rosdi.
Panupong. Thong Sai under pressure, but the elevation of the set.
It was a beautiful set from Panupong Petlue there, put it reasonably close to the net. The good thing is for Malaysia, though, is that they didn't win the point, but they let Thailand know that they're there.
Panupong again. The block from Karol Zaman.
Well, the first time he let Thailand know that he was there, and the second time he went up there and stole the point. Outstretched calf. Oh, it hits the thigh, wobbles down, and taking the punishment there. First block of the match. There's a good statement.
To the off court, now he's gone to the near court.
Well, 4-1 has become 7-5. They've won 6 out of the last 7 points. Very good variation there from the tall fella Shahir Rosdi. Now be very circumspect about where he puts his left foot.
Shazreen. It's being called under the net from Karol Zaman.
It was Karol Zaman who set it up, Shazreen Kamar-esque, but when you're setting and spiking yourself, it's difficult to do the one after the other.
The big fella, Shahir Rosdi, he's keeping the ball in play.
Great set from Shazreen Kamar, just where he wanted it there. Karol Zaman for the roll smike. Oh, hits the tape, creeps over and under, over the tape, under the attempted block.
Again, Karol Zaman is winning that battle at the net, but Shahir Rosdi is put.
That was, I think it was a 3 on the opposition service there. And the thing with Natapong is that he serves at 74 or 75 kilometers per hour. But we saw it with a young Sitipong for Thailand. If you just fire them straight down there, then the opposition Tekong knows where it's coming and can keep it up. And then if you've got, you're guaranteed points.
It's in. It's ace number 2 for Shahir Rosdi. He's playing his part.
So much so, oh, that's an absolute pearl, and that has called Thailand's coaches into action. Tangto, they have been forced to get their charges over. They've taken the time out. They've got them over. There's a bit of a wagging of the finger there. It's quite a hot stadium in here at the moment, so these guys are going to try to cool off. They've just got a minute in which to do so, but they need to keep the heat and the intensity going. It's not been the best of starts for their Tekong. Natapong faulted on the first service. After that, he put down 2 bullets. Next set of 3, he foot faulted, and Radhi Chemai picked him up on it straight away. A big loud call. That's obviously going to be in the back of his mind now, and I wonder how short a leash he's going to be on when they're going to bring on Ratadek Noijaruen, who is warming up.
Through facebook.com/ISTAF Super Series, we're doing regular updates on what's going on in this competition and the final. Twitter.com/sepaktakraw.iss. Contact us there anytime. And sepaktakraw.org for more news, views, information and videos, including some educational videos and information on how you can form an STL team if you're watching in STL.my. That league is starting at the mid-November. Closing date for team applications, November the 7th. Good recovery. It's in.
The Malaysian bench were all on their feet, their arms raised to say that one went out, but it didn't. It clipped the line. Look at that, absolute perfection. And there we see it in all its glory. The point of contact, and then the leg coming round to land perfectly on the floor when you create the agility afterwards.
That's a first service fault against Rosdi. He's serving at 89%. Anything over 80 is acceptable, so long as they're not dollies.
You have to say that the Thai coach Napatong Dix in the middle of a set of 3 for Malaysia. They lost the next 2 points. Momentum arrested.
The block. Tongsai saves, sets, spikes.
Well, Malaysia almost got a second bumper, a spike of their own. That's when they had a second chance at it, but it was too awkward for Shahir Rosdi. He only had the one touch, had to take it himself, and then look at that, give him half a chance at the net. Tawisak Tong.
Ooh, went for the monkey drop, which would have caught us all by surprise. Just a little drop shot, like in tennis. Used rarely, it can be very effective.
Exactly, tried the little, yes, the equivalent of a backhand slice. The thing is with Krajwan, he's the equivalent of one of these big servers, an Ivo Karlovic or a Milos Raonic, and he's trying to mix things up. But
Shazrin Kairozaman, 12-9.
That's what we're seeing with Natapong's services. He bangs them down the middle, but Malaysia know exactly how to defend it now, and that's why they're 3 points clear, because when they can save, set and spike, then they're going to win the points.
Malaysia Cup final football was last night, and now they're in a Super Series final against Thailand. Oh, it's just long.
At the moment, Shahir Rosdi is playing read on Natapong Krajwan's services. However, he can't afford to let the side down on his own service.
Panupong, Tongsai. Gosh, and that bounced up nearly to the chandeliers. Not that you have chandeliers, but you understand.
Up to the rafters of the... And the thing that seems to characterize all of the best Thai strikers is that their spiking is so crisp, and the ball comes down just over the net at such an acute angle and cannons up. It's almost as if it could bounce a second time inside the court. Big.
Oh, it's off the tape, and a service winner. Indeed, an ace.
They needed that, did Malaysia. They lost 2 in a row, and they need to take at least 1 of 3 on their own services. And then, at the moment, if Natapon Kraiwan is going to carry on firing those bullets down the middle that Shahir Rosdi can defend, then Malaysia are going to maintain their lead.
Second foot fault, and the coach, the Thai coach Napa, and the manager Somporn, explanation.
The captain Panupong Petlue is asking the question there of Radicemai, the referee. The ruling is, I've got my eye on you, says Radi. The ruling is, I think Natapon is made contact with the ball, but until the ball has left the serving foot, the planted foot cannot touch so much as the inside of the line. And
Ratadek is immediately summoned. He was warming up outside, and somebody whistled, and he's made his way on court. And Ratadek has got to go over to the referee's side and will replace Natapon.
He trotted over and actually touched the court before he came on there, Ratadek. I wouldn't have been surprised if Radicemai had said, no, you're not allowed on. You've not observed the etiquette. He didn't acknowledge Radi either. So, right, here's a change.
Shazrin, Khairul Zaman.
Almost Usain Bolt-esque celebrations at the net. Khairul Zaman bangs that down, and then up they get, pointing, telling the Thais that regardless of who's serving, we're going to score points on your service.
15.
Shazrin. Khairul Zaman again. 16-11. There is belief coursing through the veins of Malaysia.
They must be thinking, why on earth did we change from 1st to 15 to 1st to 21? They'd have bagged the first set now. But that's the great thing about this competition. It's 1st to 21 now, and who would bet against the Thais staging a comeback? The Thais are rattled at the moment.
16.
Big set of 3 coming up though.
Tongsai pulls one back.
I think there's going to have to be a judicious, could well go 0 for 3 on their own services here, and all of a sudden 16-11 becomes 16-14.
Indeed, they need a 1-2 at the very least. If they go 1-2, 1-2, 2-1, 1-2, they'll win it. Oh, brilliant. Tongsai, but Panupong did the real work.
He did. It was at the tail of the 2 setters there, beautifully set up by Panupong Petlue, and then Shazrin Kamar almost kept it alive and then couldn't quite keep the ball in play. So there's 2 out of 2. What they need now, they went 0 for 2 at the start of the last set of 3 that Shahir Rosdi was serving, and then he pulled out a tape.
16. 13.
Ratadek. Oh, Tongsai from somewhere towards Mandalay, has pulled that one over the net and into the midriff, and a point for Thailand.
It was great defence from Malaysia. The ball came over and went to Shahir Rosdi, and he strong decision, and that gave them time to save set and spike. That would have been such a big point there for Malaysia to win. Tong Sai there has, I think, he's scraped his
I'm not surprised.
Scraped his elbow, so he's going to have some running repairs. Also in a little bit of discomfort, but this also gives Malaysia time to think about the fact that they have just conceded 3 points in a row. They've seen their 5-point lead evaporate to a 2-point one. I think he's just scraped the skin off. I don't think there's any blood there.
You're allowed a medical timeout, but he's not taking it. He'll just wonderfully poised. 16-11 to 16-14, and now it's Ratadek on serve.
Malaysia now need to take 2, keep them in front, but it won't be enough.
It's the perfect serve off the net. They were under intense pressure with Thailand. That's how they respond.
4 points in a row, and that one, there's the timeout that I thought would come at some point once they were in the middle of a set of 3 for Ratadek Noi Jaruen, but that guy, 2 kilometers per hour. If that had been a millimetre or 2 lower, then it would have been a fault, and we'd have been looking at 17-14. As it is, it's 16-15, and the Thais are right on the comeback trail. 4 points in a row, which is why the Malaysian coach, the new Malaysian coach, Najib, he's decided to take his timeout. You're allowed 1 timeout per set. Obviously, when one team takes a timeout, the other team can benefit from it as well. Have a drink and exchange some views with their coaches. It only lasts a minute, so there's very little they can do in the way of tactics. It can throw an opposition tekong off his rhythm. So once the music dies down in the stadium, we will see whether Ratadek Noi Jaruen can stride back to the circle and fire down another one of his big lefty services. 1 point in it now. Malaysia 5 points from victory. Thailand on a 4-point roll, and they're just 6 points from taking this first set.
Well, that one didn't work, and they've scored 5 in a row.
2 of them on tape services. It was the right call to replace the tekong. I knew he'd come in in the air as well. That has been the case, and Ratadek Noi Jaruen has turned this around for Thailand.
Wow. Followed by another straight ace, 3rd straight ace. 6 points in succession. And I wouldn't call this mental, I'd call this Thai supremacy at this stage. This is just good Thai play.
Exactly, that was 3 absolutely wonderful services when you need it the most, and absolutely unflappable. He's only a young in pressure cooker situation. Bang, bang, bang.
Followed by a service error. Malaysia would like the last 5 minutes of their life back.
I think they would, and look at the Thais. They all come up and start waving, gesticulating. They know that they have turned this around. Big deep breath from Khairul Zaman. He's not been a...
That stops the rot. That's a little bit better, and there's half-hearted gesticulations at the net. That'll make him feel better.
1 more to come from Shahir Rosdi, and it's a crucial one. A few discussions there. What should we do?
You can serve an ace, young fella. Well done.
Well, 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 who would have thought that? Totally wrong-footed. The left-footed Ratadek Noijaruen in between him and Panupong Petlue. Chose his spot very well.
On deck. Shazreen Kamar. Oh. Yo! They got a second chance. Shazreen Kumar and Khairul Zaman.
Well, that one came over, and that was probably the wrong decision. Shazreen Kamar, what a save. Dragged that one up from a millimetre off the floor, and then Khairul Zaman close to the net, doesn't touch it, goes straight there on the way down, doesn't touch the net. 19-18.
Oh, they worked it out. He just didn't get enough of a header on it. But every moment is drama.
Well, he saves it. He's not the setter, he's the spiker. And he presumes that Shazreen Kamar goes, it's got to be you, I can't get there. And
but have they found the antidote to Ratadek? The double block is unsuccessful. Set point Malaysia.
wow. They threw up the double block. A great set from Shazreen Kamar, so close to the net. And that means that Khairul Zaman can get the height to get it downwards enough. If that had been any further away, it would have bounced off and over to Thailand. But no, all it takes now is a tape service or an ace from Malaysia, and they have bagged the first set.
Tongsai, the best efforts of Khairul Zaman, but we're at 2 points.
Wonderful set there from Panupong Petlue, going back, tracking the ball, watching it every step of the way. Great attempted block by Khairul Zaman, but that was a perfect spike there from that man there, Tawisa Tongsai. 12 out of 12 so far. This is it. We're getting free takraw now. It's 2020. We're going to go at least to 22, maybe as far as 25.
Panupong. He's kept it alive. Oh, Khairul Zaman.
Shazreen Kamar went back into the third row of the crowd to retrieve that one, and he put it so close to the net, but they just couldn't wind it around the post. We're going to see the block that goes flying back. Shazreen Kamar disappears off, but it was too close to the net.
Now it's set point Thailand, their first set point.
I think Khairul Zaman would like another go at that one. It was very difficult, but it was still doable.
Ratadek for the set. You cannot ask for more. That's brilliant. They trailed 11-16. They've taken the set 22-20.
Ratadek fires one down off the tape. He's been on for 10 services. How many of those have rattled into the tape? Almost every one. And he's doing it deliberately. It's not luck. He uses to get the perfect angle. Almost like the tennis player Joe Wilfried Tsonga, giving it thumbs, saying, look at the name on the back of my shirt.
Half an hour's worth of entertainment, half an hour's worth of world-class sepak takraw. It's as good as we've had so far this tournament, and there's a chance of more to come, because I think Malaysia will take nothing but heart from the fact that they took in Thailand to 20.
Chance has gone. Maybe their chance was when they were up against Natapon Kraiwan as opposed to Ratadek Noijaruen. Then that would have been the opportunity, and they were managing to spike against double blocks as we're seeing now. But this man came on. Ooh, there's a hint of a foot fault there maybe. But Ratadek came on. 10 out of...
Those statistics show you how close it was as well. Thailand with just that many more spiked winners. But in the end, it was probably the service quality of Ratadek that turned it the way of Thailand in that first set. But 30 minutes worth of true entertainment. Thailand taking the first set 22-20. Deep intake of breath. Set 2 coming up.
So now Malaysia have got to do it all over again, twice. They will be ruining the fact that they were 16-11 up. They had Thailand. It's almost a shame for them that Natapong Kraiwan was taken out of the action, because once Ratadek came on, he absolutely turned things around. He had 10 services, all of them were successful, and 8 of them, I think, rattled off court and was a pure ace.
Yeah,
the man has been money.
That foot fault called, in many ways, did a service to Thailand, because Ratadek was brought in. Second set, though, Malaysia got to start from scratch. They had to win 2 sets to win at the start. They've got to win 2 sets now. Nothing's changed. Good confident start, 72 kilometers per hour on the serve.
Got very good direction, hit it straight. Panipong Petlue. There's the perfect way to have your foot right in the center of the circle.
Ratadek saves, Panupong. Oh. Tong side, but the reaction from Kairo Zaman, he was looking to head it back.
It was great, because Tongsai, it was as if, I mean, a great set, and as if he almost blows it over, he dinks it over, and then Kairo can see it. He's trying to get to it and nods it down. Oh, so close.
Damn gravity.
Defy gravity, that's what we say in Sepak Takraw.
Good power. This kid is a real talent, 18 years of age, Shahir Rosdi. Find a wonderful tekong, and you're close to being able to compete with Thailand.
That's been the problem, backstop them from the tekong circle.
Oh, beautifully angled in. Oh. They don't like that.
I think Ratadek said exactly the same. Ooh, was you there, Des?
Oh.
Did it clip the outside of the line?
But out. The officials are always right.
They are indeed. Well, that now, strictly speaking, is a double fault, isn't it?
It's rubbish. Get him off.
Exactly. That's it, son. You've had your time. It's a good job they're only allowed 5 on the bench, because otherwise Thailand could have 25 tekongs there going, next, right, next.
Ooh.
A triple fault, and again, the call seemed to have rattled him a little bit. He's all smiles, but 2 completely different tekong performances here at the start of the second set. Shahir Rosdi brimming with confidence, despite the fact that they lost a first set that was within their grasp. And then Ratadek Noijarwen, a triple fault.
That's arrowed in at 70 clicks.
He decided to go for Tawisa Tonsai, and this is an amazing call. At 6-1 in a first to 21 set, Thailand have called a timeout. They've done it in the middle of a set of 3 for Shahir Rosdi, so I think they're thinking, right, this guy, when he gets on a roll, he's unstoppable. When he's out of his rhythm, he's very rusty. He can spray it left, right and centre. He can be high with timeout. They didn't use, I don't think, in the first set. They rarely use timeouts, Thailand, and they're using one now, even though it's first to 21, so it's not like back in the day when it was first to 15 in the first 2 ISTAF Super Series. You quite often would take a timeout if you were 6-1 down, because you're only 9 points from defeat. But here they've got a whole 15 points to play with, but they've decided, no, let's get Ratadek Neujaroen focused again after his triple fault, one of which was a very, very close call. The other two were in the net, no doubt about them. And let's try to get... he is serving winner after ace after ace. So they're going to try and throw Malaysia's Tekong out of his rhythm.
Well, let's see if it works. Remember, they trailed by 5 in the first set and clawed it back and won it.
6-1.
That's maybe a canny timeout because the whole complexion changes. 7-1 is a big deficit.
That's why you do it in the middle of the opposition set of 3, because Shahid Rosdi was on an absolute roll and he was just going bang, 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 bang with his services. He's had a 2-minute break and the result is the first one goes into the net. Even
you
the
told
coaches,
us so, I know, you told us so.
Even the Thai coaches are the best, their players are the best, and even their coaches are the best. Who else would have taken the timeout at 6-1 in a first to 21 set? Nobody, but they thought, no, strike while the iron is hot.
The double block. Well, the body must have touched the net. It's another close goal gone Malaysia's way.
Great double block coming up there, and then a couple of headers
on the Thai side. Wow.
That was amazing. I think it hit both mains of hair twice and then clipped the tape on the way down. Khairul Zaman made that with the initial save, which he did with his head, and then this time got the heck out of the way. It went over to Shazreen Kamar, who set himself nicely, set it up perfectly. It was a little way back actually, but spike almost from the Tekong circle, lands, and then off he goes to celebrate.
14 spikes so far for Khairul Zaman. It's called a foot fault. Now, you did suggest earlier on that Ratadek might be guilty of sliding.
And regardless of what they say to Radhi Chimai, he's not going to change his mind. He's saying, well, look, I'm going to keep an eye on it. Be interesting to see if we can see this one again. He's cutting a bit of a distraught figure, and...
He's right.
Chimai, right. Eagle eye.
It slid. It's got to stay static. Well, not static, but it's got to stay in the circle.
It can't touch so much as the inside of the circle.
Ratadek, Panupong, Tongsai.
It's a good 1-2-3 combo to have, isn't it? Despite being rattled by that decision, Ratadek saves it, set up by Panupong Petlue, and then Tawisa Tongsai gets it underneath the outstretched block and the ankle sock of Khairul Zaman.
9-4.
The toss was a little bit short. He was very hurried into his serve there, Shahir. Of those 6 service faults, 3 have come in this set.
I think Panupong Petlue just had a word with Radhi Chimai as well, and he might have said, well, keep your eye on both sides of the...
9-5.
Great serve. And not a hint of a foot fault.
No, it's perfectly inside the line. He spun it round rather than going left towards Panupong Petlue. He fired it in at Tawisa Tongsai, and the striker couldn't keep it alive. Big point again. They seem to be maintaining this cushion, Malaysia.
Until Ratadek could use his body. I was convinced that was going the other way, and he just turns his toe.
Nothing that Shazreen Kamar can do about it. It's past him before he's even seen it.
6, 10.
Strike, spike, 15.
We're seeing two different types of spike, but two excellent ones as well. That's the real 45-degree across court, the sunback spike, right foot over the right shoulder that goes down at a 45-degree angle, across at a 45-degree angle, as opposed to Tawitak Tongsai, who likes it right in the middle of the court to roll over and get it down at an acute angle.
Oh, he kind of floated in midair. What a skill.
Michael Jordan-esque hang time, and then he brought it down a lot more slowly. He saw the opposition had backed off and then killed the ball there. Six-point lead.
Shazreen getting a little bit of a talking to. Right, he does like to show who's boss.
Go! 6.
Well, that was an incredible tape service there, and I think it was a little quick to celebrate it, Shahir Rozzi. It was absolutely unreturnable, and yet they almost did. They all had a go at it, the ties. That's the thing. Even when you win the point with an absolutely perfect service winner, they'll still have 3 goes at returning it. The gap is up to 7 points, though, as large as it has been at any point in the match.
It's gone long. Service error number 7 for Malaysia.
Then as you have to take is concerned, and there's going to be a substitution again in the middle of a set of 3, so to try and throw Shahir Rozzi even more off his rhythm, and this is to try to throw Khairul Zaman off his rhythm. Tawisak Tongsai is off, and Suryon Kumpimon, who was so dominant at the net against Apif Safie of Singapore in the semis, he's on.
And Suryon, oh yes, yes, yes. Suckers them in and floats it over the top.
It was like a little badminton shot. He's the one who makes the original save, the set to perfection, as you would expect from Panupong Petlue. Sees the two of them there and then just strokes it the other way. He turns his foot in mid-air and bats it the other way. How's about that for a first point?
7-point lead becomes a 4-point lead. And Thailand do it again.
Can anyone ever be said to have... Ooh, that touched the inside
close,
of the
it?
line. Yes, I don't think you could call that unless you're actually watching it in slow motion, but can anyone ever be said to have momentum or the advantage against Thailand? Until you've actually won the set, you know that Thailand are still going to keep coming back at you.
Save, set. Khairul Zaman, 18 strikes.
Malaysia did well to win that point because they were lucky to get a second bite at the cherry, and Shahir Rozzi decided not to try to do too much with it. He just popped it back for
Inching painfully. They're 2/3 of the way to where they want to be.
Well, bear in mind they were 16-11 up in the first set.
Monkey drop is seen. Suryon thought he'd done everything right.
I think he did do everything right. He just didn't get the rub of the green or the bounce of the ball. It comes off the back of his leg, and which side of the net is it going to land on? Agonizingly for him on his side of the net. There's nothing more he could have done there.
have bigger calves.
True. Calf implants. Note to self, buy those calf implants.
Great service, whipped it. Almost like a golf shot hook.
Exactly, out it went, and 16-11 in the first set, 16-9 in the second. Thailand have had their time out, so they can't take another one. So they can't throw Shahir Rosdi off his rhythm here. They've made a substitution. They could make another one if they wanted to.
It's a big series of 3 for Ratadek.
One more to come, though, from Shahir Rosdi. And will Ratadek be serving with a 7-point deficit or a 5-point one?
Sorry, my sum's at fault there. Every 3 it's turned. 16-10.
He's almost sitting on the court judge's chair there. Had to go almost dance around the table, but look where he puts it. Right by the net, exactly where the striker Suryon Kunpimon wanted it. And a perfect strike as well. Point 1 for Ratadek for his set of 3.
That's such a shame after such a save and such a point. A 9th service fault from Ratadek.
Scrambling around to keep the ball alive and win a point you had no right to, and then to hand it back there, it will be a body blow. But if anyone can come back from it, Thailand can.
You're a prophet of doom,
Easy maybe. They still have plenty of chances here. They are 4 points from home. 5 points clear and just 4 points to go.
Service error. They're being given chances. This is very un-Thai-like.
I was going to say all they need, Malaysia, is a couple of aces or tape services from Shahir Rosdi and maybe a couple of faults from Ratadek Noijaroen. I didn't think he was going to carry on serving those faults, but there comes another one. 2 in a set of 3.
Went for power, 70 kilometers an hour. 2 more serves to come.
I don't think that's a bad tactic, actually. Go for the ace. I think if you put the ball in play, then it's highly likely that Pachpong Petlue will set it up and Suryon Kunpimon will put it away. So going for the aces isn't a bad tactic from Shahir Rosdi when you only need 3 points to win.
Just helped over by Suryon. It was he who made the super save.
The save was incredible because he likes to go to the right, Shahir Rosdi, and target the least strong of the 3 defenders. But look at that for a save, and then the spike where he just let it hit he let it hit the sole of his shoe there, and it went over absolutely.
Well, humans are happy with the save, never mind scurrying and the spike. That's a 3 points for Thailand.
Great time to get a 3 for what Malaysia 18-15, and which Ratadek Noijaroen is going to come to the circle, the one who can fire them down at will at 70 kilometers per hour plus, or the one who served 2 faults in his last set of 3.
It's alive. Kairos Zaman fails for the first time.
Well, Khairul would have wanted to put that one away. They were given a chance. The save, the set wasn't ideal. He was almost back by the Tekong circle, and it left him with a bit too much to do, and he didn't quite hit it with the toe. It was on the arc scene, an 18-12 lead evaporate. It's down to 18-16, just 2 points.
Calm those nerves, take on the fluids. Think of what got you in this position in the first place. Very often, I feel for Malaysia, it's mental. They've got to overcome these mental blocks. If they can do it once against Thailand, I'm convinced it'll, if not open the floodgates, but certainly get us a little closer to parity. /ISTAF Super Series for updates. Your comments very welcome on the event on Myanmar. Twitter.com/sepaktakraw_ISS. Again, be very glad to hear from you. sepaktakraw.org. We hope the live stream is operating. It wasn't before, I think, because so many of you around the world were trying to log into it. That's what I'm told anyway, so I'm going to believe that. And Malaysia is starting later this month. You've got until this time next week to register your team. The first event is going to take place in Kuala Terengganu on the weekend of 15th November. To business, 2 points the deficit. Khairul Zaman. Oh, what a block. Surion Kun Pimon.
Again, it wasn't the great cover, but he made Khairul Zaman go back into mid-court, but that was a great block off the back of the thigh. It's more than a 2-point swing, the momentum. That was a real statement from Thailand there.
A little bit of sweat on the court. I'm not surprised.
Well, is that why Khairul Zaman is saying that he slipped and didn't make ideal contact?
The fault is against Thailand. Another close one goes against Thailand. Malaysia, in a crucial time, get a big call.
Could have been 18-all. Let's see what happened here. Did someone encroach over the net to play the ball? This was a second attempt at a spike. Does he touch the net with his shorts? I don't think he played the ball.
Yes, he does.
There we go.
My word, Radi, good job. And the serve off the net, 3 set points. Gosh, this game just swings like that.
When is the ideal time to pull a tape service ace out of your back pocket? 19-17 against Thailand.
Ratadek needs a 3-for. Sorry.
Another 2 to come from Shahir Rozdi.
My sum's dreadful. Set point. Oh, it's a point for Thailand. It's hit. Khairul Zaman.
I thought that the second set was in the bag there. The save, cannons over. Oh, and if he could have jumped up in the air and done the splits, done some sort of burpees. He tried to play it, and then it was an air shot. It was a golf air shot. If he could have got out of the way, that would likely have missed the line.
Still set point. The set to Malaysia. Good camera shot. Thank you, fellas, for getting me out of jail.
Exactly, that was the get out of jail free card there. It was after the mistake on the previous. Out of the way, let me set it. And you'd expect at the net Surion Kunpimon to fire that one over. It was a very good set as well. But no, way too far down. It didn't even look like getting over the net. And Malaysia have managed to get home, and oh, thank goodness for that, says Khairul Zaman.
Well, psychologically and locally, Malaysia coming back having lost the first set on the tiebreak in half an hour, taking this one despite having given up 5 of a 6-point lead, and this 21-18, and you could argue in these first 2 sets.
They've been the more consistent. We're looking at the 2 Tekongs there, Shahir Rosdi and then Ratadek Naijarawen. Khairul Zaman firing them over the top, and then the lovely little dink from the substitute Surimon Kunpimon. I think mentally have been called for foot faults, so it's not as if Ratadek is in a wonderful rhythm and they've actually benefited from the fact that Natapon was taken out of the game. I think it could be, it's going to be the tightest of third sets.
Again, you just look at these second set stats and serve winners more for Malaysia. Thailand had 1 or 2 problems on this set. Spike rate of 90 and 83%, you can't complain too much about that. These are just 2 good teams going hammer and tongs at each other. And I hope you're enjoying it. We are, I am. Hope you're enjoying it, Drew.
Exactly, and we're going to get a third set. We're going to get a decider. There we have the Colonel, Sompon Sanyabut, telling his guys defeat is not an option. You are from Thailand. Thailand does not lose at Sepak Takraw. They have lost once in all ISTAF competition. Lost 3 sets to love to
the Malaysian girls looking on. Well, come on girls, watch. I hope you're taking photos and not playing games. Modern youth, Drew Lilly.
Youth wasted on the young, but they're here, they're watching, and they're going to be cheering on their men's team in the final set.
Well, whatever it is, it's been a final to remember already. We're in Myanmar. We're in the Tekdi Indoor Stadium in Naypyidaw. It's our first venture into this part of the world. The SEA Games were here recently.
One set all, 41-40 in terms of points. 1 set from the championship.
Shazreen to Khairul Zaman.
Great start again from Malaysia. They made a great start to the second set and a great start to the third set. Shazreen Kamar sets it up right by the net. I thought it was almost a little bit too close, but Khairul Zaman loves it. That's just in his wheel arches there. Avoids the block from Surion Kunpimon.
Oh, 11, sorry. I was a little bit quick on the gun.
3 of them foot faults. 8 of them either going long, wide, or into the net.
The big thing for Shahir is he's reading the majority of serves. He might not be able to deal with them, but he's reading them and getting his fair share back.
He's really come on above 80% on attack when he's actually serving. That would be obviously ideal, but on defence he seems to get a good read, and he's done so on both Thai Tekongs.
That's good play. Surion with the save, the set from Panupong. Surion with the finish.
Certainly don't lose anything when you change strikers for Thailand. No substitutions thus far for Malaysia. It would be very surprising if they were to break a position. They're going to ride their top 3.
Fatigue kicks in.
Exactly.
Well, impossible to stop.
I think Malaysia are going to need all of those in this third and final set. If the tape goes their way every time, then they've got more than a fighting chance. We've thought about it there. The Takraw didn't know which way to the cookie was going to crumble.
Again, it's off the tape. The toss from Khairul Zaman, absolutely perfect.
Exactly, it's a 2-part move, tossed up just in the right place. It was, and he made a wonderful point of contact. So even though Ratadek Naijarawen got the foot to it, there was nothing that the Thais could do.
Karol Zamati, 4 successful spikes.
Malaysia have started this set all guns blazing like they did in the second set, and that was enough to see them home at the end. It gave them just enough of a cushion. They were 7 points clear at one point, ended up winning it by 3 points. Is the game going to get away from them again, the ties?
Coursing through the veins of Malaysia.
Well, Thailand were forced to take a timeout at 6-1 down in the second set, and it almost stopped the rot. They're 6-2 down here. That was a wonderfully...
Shazreen reaction. And Karol Zaman goes past the quarter century. But the work of Shazreen Kumar.
As you say, all but about 2 or 3 of us, about 20 centimetres back, right over the middle of the tape, and everything is bouncing and landing the right wave set. Fervent applause from the seats. The crowd have chosen their favourites. There's going to be plenty of support for Malaysia, though. All around the world, I think this would be a takraw if Malaysia could defeat Thailand in this final.
It's long. For once, Surion scurried there, got the timeout. Thailand.
It can only be from Thailand, can't it? He did. It was an incredible save from Surian Kuntpimon, and then he scurried over the other side. There we're seeing perfect landing. However, it wasn't a perfect spike. It went just a centimetre or 2 long. So, a mere third of the way into this third and final set. They've already taken their timeout. It's coming up in a few points' time as well, because this is the third and final set, so they have to make sure that each team plays half of the final set from one end, half of the final set from the other. It'll be interesting to see which team has got the wind in their sails, or which team gets to 11 first. You'd back on it being Malaysia. Even then, the change of ends, that can throw a team off its rhythm.
Tongsai is preparing to come on. Sorry, Tongsai preparing to come on for Thailand. A change. Serve percentage rates just about identical. Serve winners more from Malaysia. Sorry, Drew, I cut you off mid-sentence there, but the change of striker.
However, Tawisa Tongsai hasn't played in about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. Obviously, he'll have been warming up. He'll be totally in his rhythm, but there's a difference between warming up off court and actually getting on court and all of a sudden being asked to spike or block, and he cannot afford to miss a spike or a block. They are 5 points adrift.
He's got the ability to go both ways and straight down the middle.
Exactly, and he likes to go to the right every so often. And who did he target there? Who's he going for? He went for their best defender. That's amazing. I thought he was going to try and go the other way and target the striker who'd just come on, Tawisak.
Ratadek, Panupong, Tongsai.
Well, they gave it everything they'd got in that point, Malaysia, but they could only keep it alive and send it back. Tawisa Tongsai, a lot of confidence. His first spike since he's come back on. He managed 14 before he was taken off earlier.
(10-4).
They need everything to keep going their way, Malaysia. I'm saying this to a team that has just won a set and is 10-4 up, almost halfway there. But we know how easily Thailand can turn that around. They keep needing to get the...
Oh, Karol Zaman. Missed opportunity, hasn't made too many errors. That's only his second miss when in position.
They need to take all of their chances as well, because that was a great set from Shazreen Kamar. What they could do is bring Zamri on just for a couple of points. There'll be a change of ends. Maybe you want to give Khairul Zaman.
My co-commentator, Drew Lilly, comes from the Midlands. That's why he's so depressing sometimes. The prophet of doom. He
want to change ends here. They want to get to 11 and change ends. And every point that Thailand can delay this by is a nail in their psychological coffins.
Tongsai. Well, they've got 3 points against the serve, and 10-4 is very, very, very different from 10-7.
Tawisa Tongsai comes back in, and he's winning the battle of the net against perhaps a tiring Khairul Zaman, who was almost over the net there. And they need to buy a point somewhere here. They need a tape service.
You're so right to say it, though. Thailand, they have the ability to put 6, 7, 8 points together.
I don't know if Malaysia want to take their time out, because that would almost be a sign of weakness. They just need the rub of the green to go their way. They need Ratadek to... Well, they've got the opportunity to save set and spike. They need to take this opportunity right now on this point.
Well, it's alive, but there's a block. Wonderful from Tongsai.
10-4 becomes 10-9. It was a wonderful block as well. It was absolutely perfect. You can see exactly what he needed to do. Arched his eyesingly out of the reach of Khairul Zaman as he went down.
And he's got to straighten his back. He can't be a bent back, straight back.
They need to win this one and get them to change it.
Got it. So they will have a slight advantage as they change ends.
The good thing is they are changing ends, having won a point finally, as Ratadek tries to keep that alive but couldn't quite. Khairul Zaman has finally recorded a spike. He went over the quarter century, it seems like about half an hour ago. I think it was in the second set, and he's now only on 28. So it's good for... They've done it now, and it means that Ratadek has to serve one more, but from a different end. So it was important to get that done in the middle of a set of 3.
Shazreen. The block is out. The point Malaysia's.
Watched well by Shahir Rozdi, but he must have been a nervous man as that floated down. It wasn't the greatest of sets from Shazreen. Yes, I think the shadow had a look at the line, but the ball landed outside it. So 12-9. That's
what I was talking about before. That back is slightly bent, as it would be if you're jumping 2 meters up in the air.
Exactly.
Oh, the block this time from Khairul Zaman. A rare miscommunication between Panupong and Tongsai.
And we're at the net. They may be tired, but they all sprinted to the net and gave it some verbals, as the saying goes. Yes, Tawisa Tongsai decided that he was going to save and set, and to be fair to him, it was a great set and spike. Just an even better block.
Well, he's got his second wind as Khairul Zaman, but he's up against Tongsai, who's in great form.
Yes, the attempted block, he didn't leave the leg there to cushion, he threw the leg out, and that meant that the ball took a little bit of the impetus and then the leg added some more of its own and sent it long. A little bit of an innocuous service as well from Shahir Rosdi. I think he was just trying something new, but you won't catch out Panupong Petlue that way. Maybe he wants to go to the other side, to the right-hand side.
Shazrin, Karo Zaman, Ratadek, Tongsai.
How many points should we award to each team for that one? Players almost disappearing off camera, and there we see the conclusion to it. The deftest of touches there from Tawisak Tongsai. Taps it over with the sole of the ball of his foot there. And what a crucial point that was. Instead of 14-10, it is 13-11. Thailand just 10 points from home. Malaysia 8 points. Their first ever ISTAF title.
Just not there in the second set.
And that didn't quite come off. Someone who isn't a tired man is Panupong Petlue. He sprinted around court on a lap of honour after that one. Would you not just take him out for a couple of points, give him a little bit of a breather?
There's no movement on the bench. Zamri is still there. The fault is against Thailand because he's over the net. Got ahead of the 6'2" Takong.
Over, says Radiceme. And let's watch it. Their head probably went over, and there the foot was played. From this angle, it's difficult to tell. That looks like he plays it very... There we can see the hand raised by Radiceme.
Well, there have been 5 close goals against Thailand. We've had a chance to look back on replay on all 5. All 5, in our judgment, were correct.
Exactly. That's why you have so many officials all the way around the court, and the man who is best placed to see what is going on at the net is Radiceme.
Shazrin, the block from Tongsai. They could have won it.
To the delight of the crowd, Myanmar seem to be getting behind their neighbours here. Shazrin Kamar almost lost it, got it back again. 2 attempts at a spike. Tawisak Tongsai, big performance at the net. 8th block.
Carroll's got 4. Najib.
They need to take every single one of their chances here, Malaysia. They've still got their noses in front, but how long for?
Oh! At his head.
Let's watch this again. Right.
A little bit of free running. There you go, free running. There's a new sport.
It was, or the obstacle course. You got to...
A bit of levity in a crucial moment in the game.
Fight gravity, bring levity. It's another crucial point. They're 6 from home.
Off the hand, again, the change of direction from...
I thought he should target the man on the right, go towards the striker. It's Tawisak Tongsai who's come back in. No foot fault there, absolutely perfect. He's allowed to leap up out of it, but the foot is right in the middle, and yes, he enjoyed that one. 2 points there from 14-13, 16-13. They're only 5 from home.
He's got 12 service winners, 6 aces.
He's up to 80% as well.
Wow, 72 kilometers per hour. A pressure serve. And it's back up to 4 points, but as you've said, you prophet of doom, it's not over until the fat lady has sung.
Exactly, there was a bit of a squeak from some sort of musical instrument from the crowd. The side as well. Went to Panupong Petlue. The Malaysian women's team are up. They're on their feet. The backroom staff are cheering on Malaysia.
It's off the top of the tape.
The Myanmar crowd are cheering for their neighbours Thailand.
Time out, Malaysia.
Well, yes, Thailand already used their timeout earlier in the set. As the sound is cranked up in the stadium, now it's Malaysia's turn. They have done it in the middle of a set of 3, as you do. Ratadek Noijarwen got the tape service first time up. Now from Colonel Sompon Sanyabut. Trying to keep him limber, mentally limber more than anything else, because he's going to have to go out there in about 30 seconds time and make sure that he does not fault on service. He's got 2 to come, and he's served a few faults up until now. He's 37 for 45. That means he's had 8 faults. One of those was a foot fault. Remember that Natapon Krai, it gives Khairul Zaman, the man on the left of your screen there, just a minute and a half in which to take a deep breath, collect his thoughts, rest up a little bit. He's running on fumes at the moment. Shazreen Kamar's tiring as well. His sets haven't been quite as accurate. They just need 4 more points. Can they summon up the strength, or will these ties come back as they have so often in the past?
Shazreen. Ratadek. Tongsai. In.
Well, there's a point and a half. Yet again, Ratadek managed to keep that, and yes, look at that, absolutely perfect. After Shazreen Kamar had gone all the way up the boards, and that was a wonderful spike, but what a save from Ratadek. Good service from Ratadek and a great save from him as well.
Shazreen. The good block. Tongsai. Thailand fly.
And they're all but level. Shazreen Kamar is tiring. He's saving the ball, but he's setting it back in mid-court. I don't know if that's what he's saying there, but his sets for miracles. He tried a miracle here. It didn't quite work.
That's Shahir actually at the front of the net. What you're getting out there is 6 players giving their all. Thailand have got it back to a single point. There's one, it's in.
The line judge didn't move. Radice May called it in. Yusuf Bin Ali, the team manager, is on his feet, exhorting the crowd.
There's the angle. Is this in? Absolutely.
Oh, well, miracle number 1. The 3 points short. The Malaysian staff and women's players in the crowd are all on their feet.
Tongsai, Panupong.
It was a Patarapong Yupadi-esque save, and look at that. He's halfway up the boards and he still puts the ball right centre court, right by the net. And that's meat and drink there for Tawisat Tongsai, but what a great set from Panupong Petlue, the captain. Back to just 1 point the difference.
What a game, no matter how it ends.
Should we have a 25-24? How about that?
Tongsai brings it level. Khairul Zaman on his back.
You never want to take the lead too early against Thailand, and Thailand have come back right at the business end. Is when it's 24 all. So, swaps over for another 3. The Thais are looking the fresher. I think Malaysia, it's very late to do it at 18 all in the deciding set. They need to do something else in terms of blocks. They can't block Tawisak Tonsai at the moment. These 3.
Well, they've got one gift. Service fault number 13 from Thailand.
Well, that's 1 point they win without having to put up a spike. Malaysia taking the time here.
The respective benches, all emotion on the Malaysia bench. No emotion at all for Thailand. Shazreen. Kawazaman! 2 match points through the double block.
Through the double block, but it was a wide double block. Again, the set wasn't the greatest, but he did enough with it. 2 championship points, 2 title points, ISTAF title, to defeat Thailand for the first time in ISTAF competition.
Two match points. Shazreen, it's alive. Fantastic. Tonsai, I am the man.
He sees the block come and sends him the other way. It's like a penalty kick sending the goalkeeper the wrong way.
Still match point.
But now it swaps over to the service of Shahir Rozdi. 8 aces so far would give for a 9th.
Astonishing! Panupong has rescued it. Astonishing!
Well, may he smile. That was dead and buried, and he put it up, and then that wonderful roll spike that was done in that the point was still alive.
20 all, we go to juice.
Once again, we get free sepak takraw. We're getting extra points, more for your money. One more service from Shahir Rozdi, then it will alternate 1 service each.
They saved 2 match points. And Malaysia didn't miss those 2 match points. Thailand won them brilliantly.
Concern are relaxed.
Tonsai. Match point Malaysia.
Three in a row there. They don't know what to do. The attempted block wasn't good enough. Tawisak Tonsai went on a lap of honour already. The Thais reveling in every point. They've gone into a little huddle. It's now on the shoe of Ratadek Noijarwen to serve. Radhi Chemai will be keeping his eye on him as well.
Save, set, Zaman!
I think they just said to Ratadek, just get it over there, because we'll be able to defend it. But they couldn't quite. Zaman managed to pull that one out of the bag, keeps his team alive. Now it's up to Shahir Rozdi. Must have been so demoralising for the Malaysians. They were a point from victory. All of a sudden, needing to win that point to stay in the match, knowing they need to win another 3 from 20-21 to 23-21. 2 points clear until we get to 24 all when it's golden point.
Second match point opportunity for Thailand.
Shazreen Kamar goes over, says, don't worry, we'll win it back for you. Will they be able to? What a debut it would be for that man.
Shazreen. Carol Zaman, it's out. Thailand have won it 23-21. Shame for Malaysia. What an effort. But nothing but praise for Thailand.
They're going absolutely crazy, the Thais. Again, the set from Shazreen Kamar. He left him with too much to do. It went just long, and what a final. An absolutely wonderful advert for ISTAF Sepak Takraw.
Wow. Malaysia, they will take heart. They will take heart. But is this mental now? Is it mental, Drew Lilly?
It's one of those, I wouldn't say they choked, but towards the end they were so tired. What they would have given to have Hanafi Abdullah or the injured Noor Sharuddin on the bench there to come on and to give poor Khairul Zaman a breather. He must have been exhausted at the end.
89 minutes this match. Thailand win it 22-20, 18-21, 23-21. 24, but Malaysia have pushed them all the way. Thailand, they've got something in reserve. They're a special group of players, are Thailand, as we look at some of the highlights. And all 5 Thai players in their regu contributed. Only 3 for Malaysia. Was that the difference, Drew?
That was exactly, I was saying, you haven't got people they've tried, brought back out of retirement, they've tried the youngsters. It was all on Shahir Rosdi. I think Shahir Rosdi did very well today. I think what we saw, however, was that Khairul Zaman was absolutely exhausted towards the end. Shazreen Kamar as well, he's been such a good player for them. His sets weren't the best towards the end of the match. That probably asked a little bit too much. There's one of them, and it was a good one for Khairul Zaman. They just lack that tiny little bit of probably fitness, even though it's only best of 3 now, not best of 5, but you're going to the first of 20 in the second, went beyond 20 all in the third. Thailand just seemed to have a little bit extra in the tank when it came down to the very end of the match.
You saw the shot there of Khairul Zaman on the floor, and then
long it goes.
It goes long from Khairul Zaman, and yes, they're happy. They're happy.
They're relieved.
Here's the statistic. It couldn't be closer. Service winners, Malaysia had more. Good serve rate percentage from Malaysia. Spike winners just in favour. More blocking, better blocking. But in the end, is it heart? Is it belief? I tell you what, it's infinitesimal, the difference between these two sides now.
Great performance from Malaysia, it really was. All the way through the tournament, didn't lose a set until the final. 2 points in total, Thailand won 63. It's as simple as that. Thailand won 1 more point in an hour and a half Sepak Takraw. That's how close they are, but it's that 1 point, that one big point.
Okay, let's head down to the sidelines where